The countdown is on. In just a few weeks, Bob, the Internet computer's first blockchain on blockchain experiment, will hit its next halving on 14th November, cutting block rewards from 37.5 to 18.75. It's a moment the community has been anticipating for months, not just because it's another technical milestone, but because it tightens the supply of one of the most unusual tokens in crypto. By design, Bob halves every 88 days, a compressed echo of Bitcoin's 4-year rhythm. With over 95% of its 21 million total supply already mined, there is not much left to mint. But the scarcity story runs deeper. Every Bob ever created comes from burning ICP, the native token of the Internet computer. This makes each having a kind of double squeeze, like new Bob supply falls while the amount of ICP permanently removed from circulation keeps rising. Before we go deeper into what this means for miners, holders, and the future of ICP's own chain economy, a quick note: if you appreciate this kind of research and storytelling, you can now donate directly to LedgerLife to support our independent coverage of blockchain innovation. To understand why Bob matters, you have to start with how it came into existence. Instead of living next to ICP like a standard altcoin, Bob was born inside it. Mining Bob doesn't involve GPUs or ASICs. It happens entirely on chain through bob.fun. It's a platform where users burn ICP cycles to mint new tokens. The process uses threshold ECDSA randomness to pick winners fairly and verifiably. Every block mined consumes ICP, meaning energy waste is replaced by digital scarcity. In other words, Bob's proof of burn replaces Bitcoin's proof of work, turning computational energy into economic energy. When mining began in 2024, rewards were a hefty 600 bob per block. That number has been halving every 17,500 blocks, and by mid November, it will drop again to just 18.75. At roughly 7 minutes per block, that means about 200 new blocks daily. More than 25,000 miners have participated so far, minting over 83,000 blocks. What's striking is the burn rate. Community dashboards show that Bob mining accounts for nearly 70% of all ICP cycle burns, roughly $1,700 worth of ICP each day. So while new Bob enters the market, ICP leaves it forever, creating a tightening feedback loop between the two assets. This halving will make each newly mined Bob twice as hard to earn. For miners, that means every ICP they burn will yield fewer rewards, potentially driving up the value of each token. For the market, it introduces the kind of scarcity pressure that's made Bitcoin cycles so dramatic over the years. Only this one runs 4 years faster. Economically, Bob is fascinating. It compresses Bitcoin's time horizon into a single decade where all 21 million tokens will be mined by 2030. That makes Bob one of the fastest maturing supply models in crypto. Combine that with ICP's own deflationary mechanism where cycles are constantly burned to run apps, and you get a system that feeds on scarcity at both ends. It's like an Ouroboros of digital value where ICP burns to make Bob and Bob drives demand for more ICP burns. Since its August halving, Bob has evolved rapidly. Bob.fun has expanded from a mining tool into a growing ecosystem. The launch of Bobpad, it's a launchpad for new tokens and bonding curves, has drawn in developers and creators looking to build on top of Bob's structure. The first example, Bob Dog, was more than a meme. It proved that Bob based projects could thrive within the ICP network. The platform now includes a live leaderboard for miners as well as integrations with ICP Swap, Uniswap, and Kong Swap for liquidity and trading. On chain metrics tell the story of steady growth. The top three wallets hold just over 1 million Bob each, while 240 plus wallets now hold at least 10,000. The token trades around $0.20, up roughly 9.6% this month, and holds an index weight of 28.82% within the ICP ecosystem. That's a strong footprint for a token that started as an experiment. While Bob's DNA is purely on ICP, it's no longer confined there. Developers have launched ERC20 versions on Ethereum, enabling users to hold Bob in MetaMask and trade it in Uniswap pools. On Base, Bob runs under contract address that I have given in the description below, with a maximum total supply of 66,951.947 Bob and 137 holders. It's all live on Arbitrum, where lower gas fees make it more accessible for DeFi experiments. The team has hinted that Solana integration may be next, tapping into one of the most active retail ecosystems in crypto. Each expansion pushes Bob closer to becoming a multi chain asset, something few on chain native projects have achieved. It's part of what keeps the community so engaged, the idea that Bob could evolve from an ICP curiosity into a fully interoperable digital reserve. Perhaps the most unexpected twist in Bob's story is how AI has entered the picture. Developer Gizzy Crypto recently built a staking app that allows users to lock and unlock Bob directly from their wallets. It's an entirely on chain tool using canister controlled sub accounts for custody and caffeine AI for automation. The app's logic was built using a mix of ChatGPT and Grok with proportional rewards handled through self executing code. It's a small but telling example of how Bob's community is merging AI driven development with blockchain native design. This approach fits perfectly within the broader ICP trend, where projects like Caffeine Doctor, Pulse Light, and IC Serves are using AI and natural language prompts to build live dApps, wallets, and authentication systems all on chain. Together, they hint at a future where projects can be launched, managed, and expanded without leaving the blockchain. It's a kind of self contained Web3 economy powered by code and creativity. Bob often gets compared to Bitcoin and not without reason. Both share a fixed supply, a halving mechanism, and a community driven ethos. But while Bitcoin's story unfolded over decades, Bob's is playing out at breakneck speed. If Bitcoin is a marathon, Bob is a sprint. It's a test to see whether scarcity based economics can accelerate without breaking. Its 88-day halving rhythm keeps the narrative constantly moving, pulling miners and holders into an ongoing cycle of tightening supply and renewed speculation. There is also a philosophical twist. Bob consumes digital energy instead of physical electricity. Each mined token represents a measurable amount of ICP permanently removed from circulation. It's a kind of reverse inflation engine. This makes Bob more than a clone. It's an experiment in how on chain assets can self regulate scarcity without external dependencies. Price predictions are always risky, but within the Bob community, sentiment is bullish. Charts tracking Bob against ICP show a series of higher lows since August, suggesting steady accumulation. Analysts within the ecosystem have plotted short term targets between $0.26 and $0.27 and long term projections that rise much higher if ICP rallies. Whether those numbers materialize or not, the logic is simple. With fewer tokens entering circulation and ongoing burns of ICP, the pressure on supply continues to tighten. If demand holds steady, scarcity does the rest. The key test will come after 14th November, when the 18.75 block reward kicks in. Historically, halvings tend to trigger a temporary slowdown in mining before market momentum returns. But in Bob's case, that pause might be shorter, thanks to the constant activity across its tools, integrations, and staking apps. At the heart of it, Bob isn't just code, it's a community experiment. The miners, builders, and traders who orbit around it share a fascination with the idea of pure on chain value creation. No founder's allocation, no pre mine, no marketing budget, just code, burns, and community. It's that grassroots energy that's made Bob so sticky. Whether you are mining on Bobpad, trading on Uniswap, or testing new tools built by fellow users, there is a shared sense of being early to something that feels genuinely different. In a crypto space often dominated by hype cycles, Bob's minimalism, it's a simple burn mint loop with no external dependencies that feels refreshing. It's digital scarcity in its rawest form. With just a few thousand blocks to go until the halving, anticipation is palpable. The coming reduction to 18.75 per block marks another phase in Bob's tightening supply curve. If the past is any guide, that scarcity will fuel new experimentation, from more AI built tools to cross chain staking and maybe even Bob based DeFi products. The next chapter won't just test tokenomics. It will test whether our blockchain native experiment can sustain its momentum entirely through community energy and economic logic. One thing is certain, Bob has moved far beyond its origins as a curiosity inside ICP. It's now a living example of what happens when a digital asset evolves faster than its ecosystem, and in the process starts to shape it. Scarcity is closing in, the halving clock is ticking. And for miners, holders, and believers in on chain creation, this is where the story gets interesting. If you have enjoyed this Ledger Life special and want to keep this kind of coverage alive, you can donate directly to support the channel. Every contribution helps us continue exploring the projects shaping crypto's future.